All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out my show. So, what I'm going to ask a question here to people out there is, are you embarrassed of your body? If you've been listening to my previous podcast, probably in the last month, I've been doing a lot of things with anti-aging, along with talking about health and fitness and many other things. But I've been really kind of talking about people becoming self-aware of, their body and how they treat their body, along with how they perceive the way they look. And this isn't easy, I think, for a lot of people, because I think for the most part, a lot of people do not like the way they look. That does not mean entirely. I think a lot of people have the common sense to say, hey, you know what, I like the way this part of my body looks, but I don't like this. I like the way and it could be even other things, like I like my hair, but I don't like my complexion. I like my legs, but I don't like my midsection. I like my arms, but I don't like my shoulders or chest. Whatever the case may be, you get the point. And I'm here to tell people a lot of times, excuse me, if you want to make changes, a lot of times it's a lot simpler than you'd think. But they don't want to hear that, especially when it comes to health and wellness, or kind of evolving and turning your body into something close that you want it to look like. It's going to take time. I call it Michelangeloing. It's kind of like saying that you're the artist and the canvas. Kind of. I know that sounds kind of weird, but you're kind of both, because you're going to create your body into what you want, which is, again, if you're going to create something, a lot of times you're the artist, but you also need the canvas as well. Or it could be whatever type of art you're into, but I'm using a painting example in this case. And you're going to have to start designing what you want to design, because one of the things that I go through a lot, especially with relationships, giving advice on that, men and women lately, they don't like the way they look. And I'm like, I don't think a lot of people realize how handsome they are, how good looking they are, actually how great their body really looks. Even if you don't work out a lot, I get a lot of people are overweight. You may not be in the best of shape. I get it, but that does not mean you do not have an incredible amount of potential to get what you want a lot of times. And it doesn't mean that you have to go on these drastic diets or work out 5 days a week or just go crazy and starve yourself. Or, if you want to get bigger, more muscular, you got to jump on a ton of supplements, get on steroids, growth hormone, all this excessive nonsense. Hold on, let me get some water here. But yeah, I'm going to just go through this because I think a lot of people go through this. And I mentioned it in a previous podcast. People, a lot of times I know, men and women, this goes for both living in Florida a lot of times. You'll go to a pool party or go to the beach, and I can immediately tell a lot of times who's insecure and who isn't. You could tell by maybe the bathing suit they're wearing. Are they taking their shirt off? How are they behaving in public regarding their body? Are they covering it up entirely? Even my friends, a lot of guys that I grew up with are in really good shape. But as they aged, like everybody else, they got a little heavier. And I remember being at a pool party for a birthday. And a bunch of my buddies, we loved swimming our whole life. We're in Florida, and I'm jumping in the pool. And believe me, at this point in time, I wasn't that thin by any means. And I have a big burn on my stomach. It's not too bad, but I have a big scar. But it never affected me. I didn't care. People would talk about it. I never let that become an insecurity for me, but I know other people have certain things that they want to hide. It could be surgery, it could be scars, and I get that. So I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the average Joe or the average woman out there that is afraid to take off a shirt or be seen in public, maybe, again, in a bathing suit or something like that. But back to my friends, I was shocked none of my friends were swimming, and I really had to go up to them and go, what's the problem? They're like, hey, man, I look like Shamu. They were all laughing and making fun of each other. It's like, oh, man, I'm too pale. Oh, my God, look at my stomach. I haven't worked out in months. Or I haven't, all these excuses. I'm like, all we want to do is jump in a pool. And what's funny is a lot of them are like, oh, man, I'm too pale. And I goofed around and I said, you're pale because you never take your shirt off. Let's get some sun here. But my point being is, I think a lot of times this carries on not just for days or weeks or months. It carries on for years. If you are starting to feel that way, let's start making the changes to make you feel and look your best. And here's the deal. You got to take an honest approach. If you think you're going to be 45, 50 years old and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, most likely that's not going to happen. Same with a woman. If you think you're, I don't care what age you are, a lot of times with your genetics, you may not look like Cindy Crawford. But who gives a shit? I really do like, the one thing I will say about the Kardashians, because I never watched the show, with her or these other women and other, a lot of, I guess, the bigger ass or whatever the hell, like, it kind of opened up for a lot of women to really, I think, like their bodies if they were shorter or thicker or just, all these things, because I think for many, many decades, a lot of women especially thought you had to be, like a model. You had to be thin. You had to have, also I think a lot of them thought you had to have big boobs or, a real thin waist or whatever that is. Listen, there's millions of people out there, all right? They like all different types of sizes and shapes. I don't care if you're a man or woman, but here's the deal. You've got to like yourself for who you are. That is number one, because I think so many people get caught up wanting to look a certain way for someone else or what you think others like best, I guess you could say. And that is, I believe, not the way to go. You got to go with what you feel the most confident in, what you feel the best in, and what's going to empower you, all right? And I will officially wrap it up with this. When I talk about Michelangeloing your body, I did this for years. Find a picture maybe of somebody or there may be a workout, somebody in the gym who you may want to look like. It, again, could be a celebrity. I don't know what it is, but start putting the pieces together. All right? If you want to start, having a trimmer waist, that's what you need to start focusing in on. If you want bigger arms, let's start doing more arms. If you want to trim your legs down, start doing some, more cardio. If you want a bigger ass, like a lot of women do, start squatting more. It's not that complicated to do a lot of things to change your body. And this goes for every age. I'm telling you right now, you can change your body at 30, 50, even 70. So you can't use excuses that, I'm too old to work out, or I'm too old to change my body. I'm too old to lose weight. I'm too old to build muscle. That's a lot of bullshit. You'd be shocked at what you can do. All right. Yeah. I think I talked about this at a previous podcast too. A lot of people, they go into that dressing room and they get undressed and they see themselves and they have a freak out. I think a lot of people, especially with all the mirrors, I've discussed this. Listen, if you're going in a dressing room, or if you're in your full-length mirror in your home or wherever and you're taking your shirt off and you're disgusted, you don't like the way you look, let's start kind of figuring out what we can do to help you. All right? All right. Got any questions or comments, please feel free to hit me up. I'm at rich@richcelenza.com. My website is www.richcelenza.com as well, and I've been doing a lot of anti-aging and blending it with relationship stuff too. All right? Take care.